Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out and meeting us here in the Impact Room. Lovely space for a meeting. We're excited. We wanted to make a special effort for this project to involve as much community input as possible. City Public Works staff were out flyering the neighborhoods. Raise your hand if you've got a flyer in your door. Okay, yeah, it worked. Fantastic. And others saw it on social media, and we've been posting and having it out. This is a project which has not yet gone through the city planning process, but it will be soon. And so you're getting a sort of sneak peek here tonight of what is planned, but it's also a great opportunity to ask questions and give input and feedback. And really the city's role is simply to facilitate that dialogue between developer and community. And I think so far we've got a great crowd. Just to put this in context, this is a new construction development planned for the old D&H Distribution Center building. The existing building will be demolished. This is new construction, and we're looking at bringing in at least 850 jobs with maybe even the possibility of growth over time. So it's a great opportunity for the city, and we're very excited, but we want to hear from you. And we also wanted you to meet the team which is bringing this. So I'm going to turn things over to Jonathan Hudson of the Hudson Companies. He's got about a 15-minute presentation. And after that, we anticipate the majority of the evening to be Q&A back and forth until we've answered all of your questions. So with that, Jonathan, the floor is yours.
Luke. Thank you, Mayor. First off, before we start out, thank you everybody for coming out tonight. We appreciate your attendance and are looking forward to the question and answer portion of this presentation right after I take you through the project. So again, thank you to everybody at the YMCA here for hosting us as well. Very seamless and makes it easy on people like us to stand up here and talk into the microphone. So thank you everybody for your hospitality and for having us here. As Mayor Papenfuse mentioned, my name is Jonathan Hudson. I'm with the Hudson Companies. The Hudson Companies is a family-owned general construction, real estate development, and real estate investment company. We're based out of Hermitage, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour north of Pittsburgh and about 4 hours west of here. We specialize in general construction of office properties, medical facilities, K through 12 educational facilities, and higher educational buildings. As developers, we specialize in developing office properties, other government-occupied and state-occupied office facilities, multifamily apartment communities, and senior housing. An important thing to mention about our group and as it pertains to this project, we are builders and general contractors, developers, and owners of all of the facilities that we develop. So we think very long-term in nature. We have an ongoing concern with every property that we develop and build. It's one of the reasons we're here today. We know this is a big project in the city and a big project in the neighborhood, and really wanted to make sure we're being good stewards of our development and really touching base with all the stakeholders, whether it be on the city level, all the way down to the neighborhood level of those individuals that will be neighbors from across the street from us. So on this project, we will be the builder, general contractor, the developer, and the owner of the facility. The future occupant is the Department of Human Services and Office of Administration. As the mayor mentioned, there will be over 850 jobs coming into the city, and those 850 people will occupy the property there. It will be a roughly 130,000 square foot, 3-story office building. As many of you know, being familiar with the neighborhood, and as the mayor mentioned as well, that current site, 2525 North 7th Street, is the former D&H distributing headquarters that has since been vacated fall of last year, 2019. So that building currently sits pretty much on the sidewalk of North 7th Street. Our building will be set back, and there will be a really nice landscape buffer with trees, hedges, and necessary repairs done to the sidewalk. So you can expect that corridor to really change and improve for the better when it comes to aesthetic. The building, although being 3 stories, being set further back, really meshes into the neighborhood in the best way that it possibly can. As Rod is clicking through here for me, these are just a couple of perspective elevations. Nothing is set in stone. However, we'd like to show these just so everybody can know mainly what the quality in the construction of the building will be. This is going to be a Class A office building, all brick and masonry construction. It will really be timeless, timeless in nature. It's really going to weather and wear as time goes on very well. So from an aesthetic standpoint, we're really excited about the project, and we think it's going to be a really nice improvement to that corridor. As Rod was clicking through here, this is just a very quick example of what a draft site plan of the property would look like. It's been zoomed in just to view the building, to give you a better perspective of where the building will sit on the site. So as you can see, there's North 7th Street towards the bottom of our screen there. You could expect that building to be further back, which will give it really nice curb appeal without really encroaching on the roadway as it is right now. But that's a little bit about the building and a little bit about the property, which is extremely important to hear about, and we expect some of your questions and feedback on that. But what we're very excited about is just different ways that we can work with the community and the benefit that a project like this has and the positive impact that it could have. So as I mentioned earlier, so we're based several hours away. We're on the western side of the state. We're a family-owned operation. We're about 50 in-office employees with another 17 to 25 employees on our construction arm. Every project is led by a principal and an owner of our company, and that's why I'm here. We take really special, we place very special importance on when you're coming into a community that there's certain ways to engage and try to work with the community as best as you can. So as we do with all of our projects, when we will be doing our bidding and working with subcontractors and vendors for the construction of this project, we're placing a special emphasis on trying to work with local contractors and local subcontractors, local vendors, companies that are able to employ citizens of the city of Harrisburg and the neighborhoods that we're working in. And really, this is the first part of our meeting of engaging with the community. We have a second meeting coming up here mid to late March, where the entire emphasis is on working and connecting with local vendors, minority-owned businesses, women-owned business enterprises, and other distressed business entities. So that's a very special, important task for us. We're taking it very seriously. We've been working with a couple different individuals on the city level on trying to make contact with those entities, but that's something that we would like to ask you guys in this room for help on as well. Please spread the word that this project is happening. If you know individuals that are in the trades, anybody that could possibly be a vendor for all of the different aspects going into new construction buildings. So that's even a task that we would put on to everybody in the community. Keep us updated. You'll all have our contact info by the end of this meeting. The mayor's office and the city has our contact info, and we'll be having some special meetings coming up to talk more about this. Mayor, would you like to touch at all on that, or Rod? Great, perfect. A little bit about our timeline. As you can see here, we're at the beginning of our timeline. This, of course, is not a comprehensive project schedule by any means, but I think a lot of the questions do arise from timeline. This will get us a jump start on those. As the mayor did mention, we have not been through the full city planning or permitting process yet, so we're really still in the planning stage of this project. However, we could expect to be demolishing and start prepping the site for that building late May. So that's really a placeholder, excuse me, late March, correction. Late March is when that would be happening. Before that takes place, as I mentioned, we are having a meeting set up to meet with some local vendors, local contractors, and other minority-owned businesses. That's going to be taking place the third week of March. As our schedule progresses, the construction of the building from the pad up, clearing the site, and actually start constructing the building, that will take place in June. So you could expect an early to mid-summer start of construction at this property. So our construction projects have a full team of construction managers and project managers there. So it will be fully staffed at all times and security fenced as well. We're thankful that we have a pretty large site there, around 10.5 to 11 acres. Therefore, we have a lot of room to do what we need to do and not bother anybody else. So there's not going to be trucks parked on the roadway. There's not going to be any major street closures or any major interruptions to a normal traffic pattern and flow. So that is something just that I do like mentioning. This is a nice large site that gives us what I call plenty of laydown area. So we really hope that we minimize our impact and any nuisance that anybody could maybe previously relate to a construction project. So we're very, very cognizant of that and cognizant of the neighborhood that we're in is residential and normal daytime construction hours only. This won't be any 24-hour stuff or anything like that either. So, and we'll always have a team member available as what we call our community liaison that is able to take questions and concerns from those individuals within the community. You know, this is really nearing the end of a couple of the big talking points that I wanted to hit. A lot of people kind of ask, what does a building look like? This is a previous project of ours. It might be a little tough to see just with the clarity of the screen here, but we have a project gallery on our website, which is Hudson, Hudson, companies.net. If anybody is interested on what a potential project of ours looks like, it's a great resource to take a look at. As I mentioned, it will be a very professional and timeless traditional building as far as the aesthetics. So we always have been happy with those and have found the communities where they're developed in are also happy with that. And that's just another example of a project. That's a little different because it was a larger, higher structure. So you wouldn't expect to see anything like that here. With that being said, Mayor, if I missed anything, I'd be happy to let you jump in. I really wanted to just take a moment to talk a little bit about the project and give everybody a little bit better of a base of an understanding of the scope of the project and what it entails as far as timeline and size. We're very excited to be here and excited to be working within the community. We believe that there's a lot of benefit to happen here with developing on that North 7th Street corridor. We would hope that this project here could be a catalyst for future development that would be looked upon positively. And we're looking forward to working within the community. And with that being said, I'm happy to open it up to some questions, if that's okay with everybody else. Yes?
Yeah. Jamal has a microphone, just so everybody can hear in the room, so if you could wait for the microphone.
Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Barker, originally. Are you guys Hudson related? Is it the same company? That part of them are related in New York City?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Well, just some quick questions about the community. As I said, I'm originally from New York and wanted to know the accountability of dealing with the community prior to jobs and things like that. What I'm seeing the trend is a lot of developers have come here and there's no accountability to I'm a private contractor. And, you know, they say they're going to give contractors jobs and bids and it never really happens from what I'm seeing. So how can there be committees or something set up that can, you know, kind of like speak to these local contractors and getting them, you know, some equal opportunities for some of the things coming in? And how can we, you know, kind of hold you guys accountable for some of those things when you guys say you're going to do it? And long term, you know, there is a lot of poverty in the Harrisburg area. So, you know, long term, how will this development help, you know, fester into the community, some of the needs that it has? Can you, like, you know, talk about some of those solutions, you know, overall?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. So I'll answer your first question just about accountability and when somebody says they're going to want to work with local area contractors and local area vendors, how do they achieve that? You asked if we were a company out of New York City, which we aren't. We're a company out of Western Pennsylvania. We are really more, our management style of our construction business is a little more of a roll up your sleeves, boots on the ground type of style. We're engaging the community hands-on. That's what we're doing right now. That's what we intend to keep doing. How we would like to connect with local area contractors, I believe you said you're a private contractor, so contractors like yourself and other people in your industry here in the area, is we already have worked with the city in procuring a list of some local area vendors and also minority-owned and women-owned business enterprises. We have started outreach through that. We're getting our meeting set up here for late March to also do outreach there. We have a full staff of project coordinators and estimators who will be connected, will be at that meeting, and people will have anybody that's interested in our bidding opportunities is able to learn about them at that meeting. Every bidding opportunity we have, size and scope. You'll learn more about the timeline associated with the bidding schedule, and you'll have direct contact and links to the decision makers that are procuring those bids. So for me, for us, it's a two-way street. We want to work with as many local people as we possibly can because there's a lot of value to that for more than one reason. We'll be here having these meetings. We'll be listed on all trade publications. This is a prevailing wage job, so there will be a lot of working through those organizations and unions of knowing that this job is available to bid. We'll be on pipelines and every other Dodge and major bidding site, and we'll continue to work with any of the city officials and departments that could keep us connected. So, and as well, if you have a moment to speak after the meeting, I'm happy to learn more about your company, what you do, and exchange my information personally and make sure you're on the list of when bidding opportunities come up. A question that might be a little bit tougher to answer is how this project is going to have impact possibly 5 to 10 years down the road. And you were asking a little bit more about how does that affect the community from then. You know, that may be a little tougher to answer, but the way that we see these properties that we develop and continue to own work is sometimes we're the first person on the street or the block in quite a while that's built a building there. This property will have roughly 850 employees there day one, and it's actually being constructed and built for them to continue to hire more people into the future, so increased employees over time. I'd like to believe and think that that number of employees moving back into or working out of that location from 9 to 5 every day could really help local businesses and local business owners. There's going to be hopefully a lot of trickle-down investment as well, really bridging that gap on that 7th Street. A large property like this being developed up on one end of 7th and Division should really give others confidence. Just seeing some other positive development happen, I think would really even be great for homeowners in the area and property value, and just seeing something new going on in that area. There's a lot of trickle-down development, so I would kind of lean on that as my answer to say that a property of this size and scale would have that long-term benefit. And I'd love to connect with you after the meeting to talk more about the first question. Sure. Whoever agrees first. Good.
What will you do about that solar panels that they have? Are you planning on taking that down? That's what I have.
Okay, good. We can tag team this one. So the solar panels are in great shape. They can't stay because they need to go where our parking lot is at. However, there's a ton of usable lifespan left on it. And as a nod to saying, actually the previous question, when you say you're going to work with the community, Jonathan, how are you actually going to work with the community? The mayor's office and myself, we're currently in the works of us donating those solar panels to the city for their use and to be reused on another site. So, Mayor, if you'd like to comment on that, please feel free.
Yeah, it's an enormous solar array. We don't want to lose it in the city. There is the potential for us to utilize a part of it at the Public Works facility, maybe another part of it at City Island. We've also talked to Laxwama about utilizing it on some of the landfill areas there at the incinerator, which would be a great spot for a solar array. It's a part of creating a package of sustainable energy for the city's use. So we very early on, from the beginning of the process, we expressed an interest in trying to repurpose and reutilize those. And so I'm pleased to say our sustainability director and public works team is working very closely with Hudson. So there we go. Yeah. There are also electric vehicle charging stations too, which we're going to reutilize as well, which is great.
So I have a microphone, sorry.
You can just wait for the microphone. Yeah.
Good evening. So yeah, I just, that was one of the questions that I had. For you guys, so kind of a follow-up with the solar array, are you guys incorporating LEED certification standards into the building, or is that part of the plan at all? And then the follow-up question is, really ambitious to have it done by the end of the year, rather than 26 wells, it's like right across the street. Are you guys going to be working well into the evenings, or what is it?
Quick correction, I apologize, there's a typo on there. The building will be finished in late summer of 2021.
Okay, that makes sense.
We're good, but we're not that good. We're not that good, but I like to think that I had everybody going there. So, but okay, so to answer your first question, so talking more about going off of sustainability and building design. So the building will not be LEED design where it will have a LEED plaque on the front. We've developed and built at least 15 different LEED certifications. However, it will perform to LEED standards. Just we aren't pushing for actually buying the LEED symbol. We will perform to ASHRAE. From a sustainability standpoint, we'll perform to ASHRAE 2016 standards, and I'd be happy to follow up with you and talk more about that. But we'll perform just as a LEED building will, just without the certification. And did I miss another question or?
Oh, in terms of the construction phase, is it, it's going to be loud at night? That's the only
Oh, yeah. So I'll reassure you just because I messed up the timeline there. So about 14 to 16 months of construction timeline, Monday through Friday, daytime hours only, no night shifts or anything like that. So normal daytime construction hours. So, yep. I apologize if I'm skipping over people. I'll get to everybody, I promise.
I have a couple of quick questions. I understand this is being leased by the state.
That's correct.
So you're a private enterprise, and so you'll be paying taxes to the city, correct?
Yes.
How long is the lease?
An initial 20-year term and several extensions.
And then the other question is on the road itself, on 7th Street. Are you planning on widening the road? You have street parking?
There are no plans to widen or improve the roads. Right now, there was a traffic impact study that we commissioned that the city engineer is in receipt of, and we're awaiting comments on that. So we're still in the planning phase of that, but we do not, from our findings from the report, we do not expect a road widening or anything like that needed. And we're not adding street parking, no.
How does that impact the homes right in front of the building of the DHL? Because I live right in front of it.
Yeah, so, as far as how it will impact it, I would expect for traffic to be the same as when the D&H facility was there, given it was a very similar employee count and a very similar hours of operation. So I'll answer your question in a few different ways, and if you have a more specific follow-up, please ask. So I don't expect from a traffic standpoint, I don't expect that to change much since the D&H facility was there just over a year ago. From a construction standpoint, the roadway will always be cleaned and well kept. We won't be parking vehicles on the roadway. We won't be encroaching on your side of the street at all. The only construction is going on our site. Is there any specific concerns that you could?
No, even now, because I live right close by, the traffic is awful. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's awful, like, you can hardly cross the street coming from the uptown.
We have our traffic impact study was done by a firm here out of Harrisburg, and the city engineer is in receipt of it, and we'll be waiting back comments from them for our upcoming city planning meeting. So unfortunately, I don't have any other comment on it for now, but we'll keep that in mind moving forward. So thank you for your question.
Based on the contract here, can we agree that this kind of piggybacks on what the gentleman over here said about minority contractors? And we all know that minority contractors have some unique challenges that non-minority contractors may not have. And so I think one of the issues that I would like you to address, and I think with a little bit more specificity, is do you have a minority participation plan or disadvantaged business plan, other than saying that bids will be available and that you'll have the opportunity? Is there diversity plans and aspirational goals to kind of ensure that there will be participation within the minority contractor communities in the city?
Sure, that's a great question. So to answer your question in two parts, this project specifically does not have a certain percentage requirement of minority participation. However, we're still trying to do that. We do a lot of affordable senior housing tax credit developments through the PHFA program that has a very strict criteria of how you meet minimum standards of having minority business enterprises and women business-owned enterprises and disadvantaged business-owned enterprises on your contract amounts. So we do have an internal selection process that I would probably liken to what you mean as a diversity inclusion plan for contractors. So that's an internal process that we use. I think that where you see success or where you see success not happen is when, as you mentioned, that plan isn't adequately communicated between contractors and the actual entities. So that's really what we were hoping to be able to do at this upcoming third week of March meeting, is share that inclusion plan and talk more specifically about the opportunities, tell you how we score that and how we rank bids, etc. So if you were interested in attending that upcoming meeting, that's where we really plan on getting into the nitty-gritty, so to speak, of it. And if you'd like after as well, I'd be happy to talk further, and if you have any specific suggestions on how we could work better at that, we gladly take those and improve our process with it.
Will you be incorporating green infrastructure in your buildings, like permeable parking lot, taking care of the solar array, and green roof garden, for instance? Will you be incorporating that as well?
There's no green rooftop garden planned, so we do not have that. As far as permeable parking, there isn't any permeable parking. One thing to note is that I believe the current impervious area on that site is 99%. It's pretty much all asphalt, building, concrete pad. We'll be reducing that significantly. So we're closer to being about 75% impervious. So we'll remove a good quarter of the site that's currently impervious area. So that's one upside and benefit that's happening when it comes to that.
Right, the work for capital regional water, maybe improving that 75% to higher.
Are you from Capital Region Water by chance?
Yeah.
I'd be happy to meet and talk after the meeting if you'd like, and exchange contact information.
All right.
Thank you. And what was your name, sir?
Garvey Presley.
Okay, great, Chief. Thanks. Let's catch up after the meeting if you have a moment, please.
You said you're gonna have enough parking for the people, the DNH never had enough parking for the people.
Yeah, our parking won't be an issue. We do have adequate parking that's planned for the site. We'll have more parking than DNH had. So there's 850 employees, roughly 50 visitors a day, and some other employees may be using the conference rooms in the area. So, and we're planning parking for future growth. So we are just at just over 1,000 parking spots. So we meet and exceed zoning when it comes to that, and we knew that parking was previously an issue, so we won't have problems with
You
parking.
don't have to do a traffic study, we can tell you about the traffic.
Amen.
We live on that street. We can tell you about the traffic going up and down, and you hardly can get in your car, but they won't run over top of you if you open your car door.
Okay.
So with 850 people coming, I don't think it's going to be, you need a study for it.
Okay, I understand. Thank you. Okay.
I just wanted to ask about, you mentioned there was a typo on the timeline, so perhaps it'll answer itself.
Sure.
But the demolition is 5 days after the vendor meeting, so is it safe to assume you've already contracted with the demolition company?
We have not yet. We're close to, and we've reached out to a lot of local demolition companies, as well as going through the minority-owned business enterprise list that we received from the city, and reached out to all those individuals there. But it has not yet been awarded technically.
So that RFP was up on the city site? I haven't seen it.
No, because it doesn't. It's nothing through the city. The contracts, we're the developer and the contractor, so that would be coming through us. Do you have interest in that?
I don't have a demolition company, but
Okay.
my husband's a subcontractor, and we work with a lot of different ones in the city. so I was just curious. Because a month from now, somebody better have quoted you already, because you needed it for the bid, and also they're probably loads already, so.
Okay, if you had somebody in mind, or if you'd like to exchange contact information, I'd be happy to get that from
But
you.
if you're already talking with them, you're talking with city demolition companies already?
Yes,
or-
we've talked to various demolition companies. That's correct. But we can talk to more. So if you have somebody that you'd like to share with us, I'm happy.
No,
to
I'm
get
just,
that
you were
contact.
explaining the process, and I hadn't seen that process at work. So I guess I'm just reiterating the concern here that's been stated. Because we're talking about a very big project that's less than a month away, and this is the first anybody's hearing about it.
Yeah, given the flow of the project, we're on a timeline, and demolition is one of the things that we talked to before we've had that contractor meeting. But it's not to minimize it. There's a lot of other bids and projects to be awarded that we feel comfortable that everybody will have a chance to look at them. But to liken that to, we've reached out to people. It's been posted online and through various different forms that subcontractors. Yes, it's not an official city contract. So we post all of our solicitations coming from our company would be posted on various pieces of forms of software that are used by subcontractors and other contractors such as pipe.
I won't be able to find a public RFP for the demolition of this building.
There's not a public RFP for the demolition. We're a private contractor, so it's not like a public process such as if, a government entity was doing it. It's negotiated. But we're going to talk a lot about it at the upcoming meeting, and as well, if you have something in mind, I really want to get your information and talk to you, talk to both of you guys about it. We do not. No, we do not have a signed demolition contract. Yes. There's demolition contractors from the city of Harrisburg, from Dauphin and Cumberland County, and there's from other counties as well. So we cast a wide net, and we talk to whoever we can talk to. And if there's some people that you guys have, we'd love to talk to them. If you can connect me with some individuals, I would very much so appreciate that.
Okay, so from my understanding, I know you talked about 20 years from now having a lease, right? So I'm 19 years old, and I've been thinking about urban planning and city planning development in general. And right now, it's very vital that we don't have low density buildings built in Harrisburg. Because so many people are migrating to the cities that need higher density buildings, and from my understanding, it seems as though this building is just low density. Most places, especially like Portland, Oregon, Los Angeles, all these cities are having a problem with low density buildings because people are migrating and they have nowhere to live. It seems as though you're capitalizing off of Harrisburg in general just because, one, it's not really sustainable or beneficial to the average Harrisburg person because of the traffic. You have no parking for it. Then on top of that, it's in uptown. And then it's just like you're gentrifying it. All the buildings that you build all the buildings in those areas were, I see Mechanicsburg, right? Mechanicsburg is generally a white populated town or city. Harrisburg isn't. It's full of minorities. And that's how cities are going to be. How in 20 years you're going to have to deal with climate change and you're going to have a low density building? How is that going to be sustainable in 40 years from now? Because it affects people like me that are 19 and that are going to have to live with this in Harrisburg.
Thank you. Your comment to being a low-density building, I'm not sure if that's referring to the square footage or to the height or to the size of the building, but it's an office building and it's been designed to how an office building needs to perform from an architectural and an engineering and a design standpoint. So we designed the building knowing the employee count being there, knowing what types of jobs they do, where their offices need to look like, and every other daily function of their work life. So the building has been designed specifically for the use. As far as it being there for 20 years, It can be there much longer than that as well, and likely will be there. The reason it's located in Uptown is because it's one of the sites within the city that can accommodate a building of this size. Of course, there are some other sites out there, I'm sure, but this was chosen for specific reasons from our end user, who's the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Also, it's a strategic location for all of these occupants and all of these workers in these office buildings because they're traveling from different directions, and it's optimal that they're located within the city limits of Harrisburg. So there's a lot that goes into deciding where the building is located. That's a couple of reasons as to why it ended up there. And from a density standpoint, the building is built to perform as it should, not only today, but well into the future. So.
But in America in general, we're having problems with cities all over like that because we're having these office spaces, right? And then people like me that are young, we're getting innovative, we're modernizing everything, and we believe that in order to have these buildings, you need to have people live up top. Because in general, you're saying people are coming from all different directions and places, right? Well, a lot of these people aren't even coming from Harrisburg, they're going to be coming from the suburbs, and that's the problem. There's not a lot of money being put into Harrisburg, just the average Harrisburg person. Harrisburg is in poverty, and we're just like struggling. I know you talk about like minority women and just like minorities in general, but you're leasing out these spaces for the local mom and pop shop, but they don't actually have the ownership because they don't own the building. And you come in, you're not even from Harrisburg, and you're making this building.
Well, we aren't leasing out buildings to mom and pops and taking away from building ownership. The building that we're building is being occupied by 850 employees from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So they're the sole occupant of that building. So I just wanted to make sure that's.
Where do vendors come from this then?
Excuse me?
You've talked about vendors, right? I'm just trying to be educated on this because I just got here.
Yeah, so a vendor, what I'm referencing as a vendor is when we build a building, we need to buy all of those components, not only physical components, but labor that go into constructing that building.
Right.
So an example of a vendor would be when we are installing carpet or flooring into a building, we would call a flooring vendor. So what I'm talking about is connecting with local vendors, meaning companies or individuals that are located within the Harrisburg or greater Harrisburg area that would have a financial benefit by working with us if we were to procure goods or services from them. So that's what I mean by a vendor.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
I know Harrisburg is a growing city because I've been here. Okay, I understand that Harrisburg is a growing city. I need to know why and how you picked Harrisburg to come into Harrisburg and get this building. Who did? I mean, how did you get involved in that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So coming back to who the end occupant is of the building, it's agencies from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, so the Department of Human Services and Office of Administration. The way that process works is the Department of General Services, DGS, would post parameters of where their office building needs to be located for it to be functionally and physically located where their workforce needs to access it. So we've worked on, along with many other people that tried to put proposals together for this property, we ended up being selected as the developer for it. It was a public process that many other builders and developers looked for property to put together a proposal for the Department of Human Services and Office of Administration. Due to the parameters that they set forth, they felt that this site located in the city helped them achieve their end goal with their workforce and prove to be, for it to be as functional as possible. So that's how the site got selected and how we ended up in the city of Harrisburg versus somewhere else.
Okay, another one.
Sure.
The 800 and some employees that you want to bring into the city, are they going to be employees from the city, like from the state workers that are coming in? Or is it going to be people from outside trying to get on these jobs? Or
No, so they currently, these individuals, they'll be transferring from a campus that's currently located outside of the city, and they don't necessarily live in the city as well. Some of the individuals probably do, but not all of them come from the city.
State employees?
They're all state employees.
They close in a state hospital, right? And a lot of those employees need somewhere to go. Is that going to be part of it?
This is from the annex relocation. So yes, so there are people that are currently working on other state office campuses where if those are closing for some specific reason, they will now be working at this location. So that's correct as to how you're thinking about it.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
And if I can jump in just for a second, you're doing a good job. But just the larger context, this building, it was not guaranteed that it was going to be in the city of Harrisburg at all. The Commonwealth basically issued an RFP and it said, we want a building to house this many employees with these parameters. And they opened it up for people to bid throughout Dauphin County, throughout Cumberland County, not just in the city. The Hudson companies presented this proposal to be within the city, and they were not alone in terms of city developers that gave proposals. There was one for downtown, there was another one in Midtown, there were a handful in the city, but there were also a handful outside of the city. The Commonwealth then said, this is the best fit for us. And so that is how they got to be where they are. But we're pleased that, now these are jobs for the most part that are on the old state hospital grounds, so they're currently in Susquehanna Township. They'll be moving into the city. In addition to property taxes, you also have to remember they're going to pay earned income tax and local services tax. So the local services tax on a yearly basis to the city just for these employees alone is about $125,000 a year. Then the earned income tax is based on the money that they're earning, and these are good-paying state jobs. So there's a cumulative benefit here, which is very positive for the city. So we should have take some pride in the fact that the Commonwealth and DGS determined to choose a city location rather than to go outside of the city.
Hi there. Four-part question, kind of. The first one, and I think the mayor might be able to help us. I believe there was a 7th Street corridor we discussed about for transportation. How will this building actually impact that 7th Street corridor? That's question number one. Number two, D&H, when we were there, had parking spots, the parking spots that were along the park. Are you guys taking that over? And I also knew that D&H actually helped do some work with the park. Are you guys planning on helping revitalize that park in baseball time? Number three, we in the future are greening the city. We have a huge stormwater issue that's already brought up. 75%, although I know it's close to 3, it's better. Long-term, Paxton Creek is the most polluted street in the city of Harrisburg. Probably want to try to do things a little bit harder. What are you going to do in the future when mandates change from just Bay? And those are my questions.
Good.
And well, the last question was the alert to the change in property taxes. Are the property taxes going to be the same as it was at D&H, and then after 10 years they'll go back up? Or is there a reduction in property taxes for and I probably have mixing it.
I can leave some of it. You do your part.
Sorry about that.
Well, the assessed value of the property is going to be much higher than what it was for D&H. They had a relatively low assessment on that property. It was an old building. So based on the assessment, the property taxes are going to be higher. This is I don't know the total budget, so but this is a significant investment in a property, so the revenue should be higher. That was one. The parking lot across the street was originally developed by D&H at cost to them in exchange for making the improvements and allowing the use of the parking lot for the public. This was done many years ago, long before I was mayor, and there's an existing lease in place that will simply transfer to the Hudson Company, so there's no change in that. And then with regard to the larger 7th Street corridor study, the city is still supportive of a long-term bridge over the train tracks at Division, which to us is really essential to uniting HAC and the farm show with Uptown and promoting a second means of egress in and out of the city to take some of the pressure off Cameron Street. That's not a part of this project, but I think the effect of this type of investment and the potential ripple effect it might have. The most valuable undeveloped property in the entire city of Harrisburg is the John Harris campus, and I imagine that an investment like this is going to perhaps inspire others to take a look at that property. So just to start, go ahead.
You went 3 for 4, so you helped me out there. So taking all of the mayor's comments into account, I think we answered most of your question. I understand your critique about the stormwater management part of it, and we could continue to take a look at that, and I appreciate that.
Well, it's just not close enough. 75%, I know it's like, I think she said in 20 years, she's 19. In 20 years, Paxton Creek is going to get worse. 75 is not going to cut it. And I mean, the whole city, we're all working together, we're all paying fees to get green infrastructure, get our stormwater done. And I think you have to reevaluate that. That's just 2 stormwater basins up there. That's not, there were 3, sorry, 3 long retention basins.
Yeah, there's some more that isn't pictured, and there's some more on-site and some underground and some rain garden and stuff like that. But I was just more commenting to your comment about the impervious area of it. But it's something that we'll take a look at, and I truly do. I understand where you're coming from, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Based on the information that you showed us on the screen, it seems as though after getting certification and so on and so on, and the timeline of construction from June 1 to fall of 2020, we talk about only 4 months to live.
Yeah, that was a typo that we mentioned earlier. It's going to be fall 2021, so that was a typo. The project will be completed in fall 2021.
And I'm also interested in most office buildings have some kind of cafe or lunch counters. Will the person self-employed owning this within your building, will that be someone from Harrisburg or someone outside of Harrisburg?
Yeah, so there's not plans for the type of cafe that you're referencing there.
Also, will they be from Harrisburg or from someplace else? Will you get your supplies after the building is built from someone in Harrisburg rather than someplace else?
Sure.
Infrastructure to operate the building.
I'll answer those questions for you. So first off, your question about the cafe. Yes. So the Commonwealth. Yes, I can get to that. I can get to that. The Commonwealth, who's occupying the building, will have a cafeteria in the building that is managed and run by them. So they handle those items in-house. So we build the building and we lease it back to our customer, who in this case is the Commonwealth. I can't hear you, sir. I'm really sorry. I can't hear you.
Yes.
You guys have a way to encourage the owner to potentially use a vendor from the city of Harrisburg to be the food service vendor at the building. He's asking that.
All cafeterias under state guidelines are regulated by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, and they vendor that out to the Blind Association. Okay, so for further reference.
Did you hear that, sir? Okay, thank you. But to answer your question about other vendors in the city of Harrisburg, we are responsible for maintenance, upkeep, cleanliness, janitorial of the building. And we would always be more than happy to use both personnel and individuals for labor that are close to this marketplace and that live in this marketplace. And also, when we have contracts for certain maintenance items with the building, they always go to local vendors due to needing to be geographically located close to a property. So the ongoing concern, yes, there will always be local vendors that will be able to benefit from the building being done.
Because of the construction, will they be given fair market value for their homes?
Nobody will be displaced for anything. That was never mentioned. No homes or nobody is displaced from anything with this project. There's nobody being displaced for anything from this project. This is the demolition of a vacant building where we will build a new office building in its place. So there's no, I'm not sure where that came from, but that's not with this project. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Yes.
Good evening. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I want you to answer. Usually there's a new building that comes in the area. It's not a structure as far as for planning of a travel emergency or escape. So do you have that in your plan for the archives?
Is our building being designed to the national and international standards of when somebody needs to escape the building because of an emergency?
I'm going to give you a great example. Usually when something happens in the city, everybody leaves at one time. And that's a crash course. So if you're going to be on 7th Street and you just did some alteration there, I think you need to have that in plan. Because everyone cannot leave at one time to get to another destination.
Okay, I apologize. I may have misheard your question the first time. So I understand where you're coming from with that comment. And likening it again to that we've done our traffic studies, and those are currently pending, and we're working with the other city planning individuals and we're reviewing that. There are shifts at this property, so not all 850 employees are coming and leaving at the same time. So that may be helpful to answer your question. So
I'm saying that plan an escape in case something happens at any Commonwealth building. Everybody leaves at one time. If something happens at 8:30, the governor will issue out something, and everybody's jammed up. So this is just another block for everybody to get where they have to go.
Yeah.
So make a notation of that. I'm not done yet.
I will, and we've been, and just to answer your question too, because I think you might want to hear, we are working and have worked with the Capital Region Police Chief Officer that do all of the patrol and security of all those buildings, and we always have an emergency plan in place for all building occupants. So does our tenant and end user, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So the building and the site is being designed for the best of that for happen, but I will take a note of that, and I appreciate you bringing it up. Okay.
Now, part 2 of that.
Sure.
Most of the buildings are contract for the cafeteria. I heard the young man say on that. The blind and vision, you see handle that. Are you contracting that out to them as well?
You are correct with your comment there, and that gets contracted through the Commonwealth does that. So.
Okay, I'm ready. I got some more for you.
Sure.
Okay, so this is a new building. Is it going to be handicap accessible for all the people that are going to be coming in here?
Yes, of course. The building is going to be designed to be handicap accessible. Visitor entrance through the front of the building will have adequate handicap parking as well as the sides. It's an elevator building, so there's an elevator. And it's a brand new office building that's designed by qualified architects and engineers. We have a track record of designing and building high-quality buildings that are always safe for the general public and safe for those working in the building. And it, of course, will be accessible to anybody that may have a disability or an issue getting into a building. So, yes.
And part 2 of that is usually where the water fountains or intern doors that's not adjustable for people to have handicaps or whatever, and the bathrooms. So can you make sure that is a part of your planning?
Yep.
And also we have like some veterans that need accessibility too. I just want to make sure all these grounds are covered.
I appreciate the concern. It's extremely valid, and all of the boxes will be checked when it comes to accessibility of the building, from entrance points, parking lots, curbs, sidewalks, to the inside of the building, down to the height of the water fountain, as you mentioned. So those are important details to pay attention to, and we definitely do that, and we'll do that.
And one last question,
Sure.
Statement for suggestion.
Yeah.
Since you're doing this in the area, don't forget to have good layperson in the area for contracting. And have a good evening.
Thank you.
I just have another
Go ahead,
follow-up.
sneak it in.
We have somebody back on the mic.
Okay.
as far as time of day goes?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, so anywhere from 7:30 in the morning till 3:30 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Okay. And I suggest at your next meeting that you have someone from DGS here, because a lot of the questions seem to be centered around that.
Okay, thank you. Sure. Great. Yep, thank you.
Hi, I'm uptown, I'm here to way around the home site street. Will this have an effect on the uptown shopping center, and if so, will it be enhanced?
So our project isn't in any way directly related to the Uptown Shopping Center, so there's no direct affiliation or will it have any real impact. I would like to say with having that number of employees there in that area and it growing and more employees coming there potentially in the future, that the Uptown Shopping Center could benefit for more foot traffic and more customers. However, there's no material change that will be happening day one. Thank you.
I just want to be reassured with the traffic problem. It's intense right there at the stop sign. We actually have a stop sign at Division and 7th, which there's always a pileup of people coming in and out of the Uptown Shopping Center. You have the opportunity now to widen that area since you're taking away the solar panels, the sidewalk is there. This is a golden opportunity to address this traffic problem at that corner. So I will hope that
I'll take your word for it, and I appreciate your patience for your question. And
That intersection is under review by the city engineer's office, and definitely is an intersection that we will need to address and improve. So that will be taken under consideration.
Thank you very much. We'll keep an eye on that. We appreciate your comment.
I want to know because mostly affected by the traffic. Okay, how far does your building go? Are you taking over the Division Street extension, like by Uptown Plaza? Because we don't have enough parking spaces right in front of us. A lot of us park on Division Street extension.
We will not be taking over the Division Street extension. Is that your question?
Yeah, are you taking over the Division Street extension? A lot of us park there.
No, we're not. We're not taking over the Division Street extension.
Are you thinking of putting a traffic light too?
There's no plans for a traffic light.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your question. Thank you.
Does everybody else have a question? Because I've got questions.
All right, wait for the mic. It's coming.
The building a year ago had how many employees?
When D&H was there?
D&H.
I think they were roughly 750, and then they had a lot of visitors with...
750?
Yeah, 750 is around.
Okay, so the impact on traffic is going to be minimal. The question I have is, Mayor, on the taxes that will be put on, the taxes that are going to be put on, what are the two taxes I pay?
Okay, so I said the local services tax, which is paid for by each employee who works in the city, $156 a year. That's about $125,000.
The two taxes, what are they?
That and the earned income tax?
Okay. Is there an anticipation that the people who will come to work in this building have higher salaries than what existed? Are we displacing 750 with 850 and the plus is 100 extra people paying that tax?
Yes.
Or will the salaries be higher? So there's a bonus to the city.
I think it will be higher in both instances. Yes, it'll be higher than what was there previously.
Okay, but we can find that out.
We can, and I don't know the salaries
Not
of the
for
people.
his purposes, but for our purposes.
For our purposes, we know it's going to be at least 100 more employees.
Right.
They're good jobs, and the tax revenue should be higher.
Okay, so the other question is that under the new building, will you be applying for alerting in the city of Harrisburg? Or will you be paying taxes, real estate taxes from day one?
We would be paying real estate taxes. So
From day one?
we won't be,
So
we won't be taxes.
because I saw in your presentation, there was a contact with a LERTA administrator.
Oh,
That's Jamal, who's been holding the mic. He's also our small business development person.
Right.
He's been the contact person. It wasn't so much to learn about the LERTA as it was to help facilitate this meeting.
So there won't be a LERTA on this building?
That's up to them, but there's...
we don't have plans to. The contact with Jamal was working to gain all of our contacts to the minority business owners. So,
Will there be a LERTA on that building?
we have not investigated the LERTA. So it's
Because that's a great idea. Because we have a business that paid the LERTA, paid the taxes. Now you have the right to come in and get a LERTA. You know, it's a right that you have. And I understand that. I don't.
Just keep in mind that the assessed value of the D&H property was very, very low because it had not been reassessed or improved. So they were paying taxes on a property that supposedly was only worth a couple $100,000. Now you're going to have a property which is going to be millions of dollars. So,
I understand that. But the
Okay.
question is, if they get a LERTA, they're not going to pay any taxes for 10 years.
They haven't applied for a LERTA and are saying, so it's good.
Obviously, that's an issue for us.
sure, thank you.
The building you have in Mechanicsburg, when did you build it?
That building was built in 2008.
And you still own it?
We currently do not own that building, so that's.
Okay.
Yep.
And which leads into the 20-year lease that you have from the state. Do you expect to own that building for 20 years?
Yeah, this is our business, and our business model varies at different times, so it's hard to make a decision like that 15 years into the future. I can tell you from typical experience, looking in hindsight, we're typically longer-term owners of property. So longer term is relative to who you talk to, but owning a building for 10 years is actually pretty long for a real estate developer. So that's,
The question is that then the question jumps to, you have a 20-year lease. At the end of 20 years, does that building convert to the Commonwealth based on the leases that are written currently?
No. So the
So
building.
the building could go to another private entity.
Well, the building, they have a 20-year lease and they have extensions in place. We find that for operations as large as this one, people or state agencies just renew and forever. So that they could be there for 30 years or they could be there for 60 years. If we're owning the building at that time, we'll remain the owner of it, if that makes sense.
Okay. On the concept of vendors, you said March 15th, your presentation had March 18th, and then you went to sometime.
I defer to March 18th. There's just really, we're waiting to confirm the date and the location to hopefully have it here. So that's what our kickoff meeting is.
Where the location will be?
We're working on having it here. Yeah.
I guess the last thing that I have is not a question. It is one of the major issues facing us as citizens of Harrisburg is EPA, clean water, Susquehanna River. What Garvey said about surface storm runoff is a big problem. Anything that you can do above and beyond, okay, we'll all meet again and give you a little something.
Yeah. I completely appreciate your concern. I appreciate your input.
It's a big problem with us in the community.
Yes.
And anything that you can do, and last, welcome to the community. We're looking forward to it.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Just not a question, just one quick comment.
Yes.
I know that a lot of the employees that
It's just a point of information.
Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you for that.
Are you planning on having, other sites in Harrisburg?
Excuse me?
Are you planning on building, are you looking at other places to build in Harrisburg?
This is our current project that we're working on in Harrisburg, and we do not have a future project planned, but we would love to continue working within the city. So nothing planned yet. You'll be the first to know. How about that? Yes.
I have one last
Yes.
suggestion for you.
Sure.
A lot of times when new people come into the communities, they're overwhelmed. So my suggestion to you, since this is your project and you're coming into our community and you're leasing that property, take care of it like it's your home. And I'm saying like there's an emergency, take care of it. If they don't have what they need, be accessible. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, let's give him a round of applause. Thank you for coming in.
And thank you guys for, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mayor. Thank you for the round of applause, but thank you guys for being here, and I really appreciate it, so thank you.
Yeah, so we determined March 18th. We don't know the exact location for that outreach meeting, but hopefully here. And the city will help spread word of that. No, it's the 18th. The 15th is a Sunday, the 18th is a Wednesday. It's going to be the 18th. I want to acknowledge some members of City Council that are here. We have Dave Madsen, who asked that last question. We have, we have Council President Wanda Williams. We have Westburn Majors in the back there, and we have Danielle Bowers. There's Danielle. I'm sorry, I can never find you. So you have a quorum of City Council members, which is really good. I'd also, for everyone's, I'd like to introduce our new Director of Economic Development for the city, Ms. Nona Watson. She is there, and you can say hello to her afterwards. And I want to give a special thank you to Jamal for organizing this event and for helping out with all the excellence that he did. So thank you all for coming.
Thank you.